Good morning to everyone who's joining us here today. I am 𝙇𝙄 𝘍𝙆𝙆𝙇𝙀. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Samuel Fields Consulting, and we are delighted that you are joining us here today for another episode of Likkle Byte Ideas. This is our third episode, and we are so pleased with the feedback that we're getting from everyone, from the ideas that we're sharing. And so we ask you to pause, share this link with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Tell them to come draw a chair. We're going to be talking ideas to help you in your personal life as well as your professional life. And today we are delighted to welcome our guests. We have, of course, the CEO of Samuel Fields Consulting, Mistress Megan Samuel Fields. Megan.
Good morning. Good morning, 𝙇𝙄, and good morning to all of our viewers. Nice to have you.
Yeah, nice to have you. And our special guest today is Mr. Rushane Cunningham. He is a lawyerpreneur, and I had to Google that because I've never heard of a lawyerpreneur. But we're going to learn all about the new age in lawyering. Lawyers today are not your old version. Well, let me not say old. Your traditional image of lawyers, it's shifting. Of course, we're in COVID with digital solutions. Welcome, Rushane.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we are happy to welcome you. And so before we get into it, we want to remind you, it is September. September is Self-Improvement Month. And at Samuel Fields Consulting, not only are we concerned about your financial wellness, we look at you as a holistic being, and we're concerned about all aspects of your life. So it's Self-Improvement Month. We're celebrating all month during September, and we have a special message for you, a special offer, and a special message. So sit back, and we'll return after this message.
3 things that made me smile today. My sons have gone back to university after the pandemic lockdown. I'm on vacation. And I am pleased that we will be celebrating Self-Improvement Month in September. This is the month when we will look inwardly and see how we can take little by little steps to become the persons we aspire to be. So I invite you to join us on our 30-day journey of self-improvement during September. You also have the opportunity to win a free personal finance consultation with SFCG. Simply go to our Facebook page and post one thing that you will do to improve your financial well-being and your peace of mind. We will announce the winner on September 27th. Looking forward to seeing your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Megan. September 27th is this Monday. Please take advantage of this opportunity to enter to win a free consultation from Samuel Fields Consulting. It is valued at $500. So something you definitely could use if you're toying with a business idea, you're looking to develop professionally or personally. All you have to do, go to our Facebook page, of course, like our page, and then just tell us what is one thing that you would change or you'd like to change this month as we celebrate Self-Improvement Month. Of course, with our hands-on consultation, we will help move you along that path to self-improvement, to change or begin to change some of the things that you want to improve in your life. So be sure to take some time to respond. Just tell us that one thing. We're already getting some great responses. And of course, we are here to support you. So let's get into our discussion this morning. And of course, this is the show where we come together in the incubator to share ideas on a path towards self-improvement. So Megan, this morning, tell us what's happening at Samuel Fields Consulting. For those of you who don't know, go to our website to learn more about our services, samuelfieldsconsulting.com. Our CEO, she wears about a dozen hats. She is an entrepreneur. You know, she I just made that up. That, you know, if Roshane is a lawyerpreneur, she is an entrepreneurpreneur because she's an accountant. She's into finance. She's also a lawyer. She is she's working on her PhD. She is a coach. She is a mother. She is a church member, community organizer, and we're getting her trained for a bunch of other things. So based on that, I think today we have another lawyer in the house. So we may stay within the guardrails of the legal realm today to discuss ideas. And I mean, Megan, you definitely embody the modern day lawyer in terms of all of the fields that you touch and you kind of bring into your umbrella. So I know you're still a lawyer. I know you have some exciting news. You just opened a brand new office. I've seen the pictures of the signs. So tell us we'll put everything else aside today. Today, we have two lawyerpreneurs in the house. And so we're going to focus on the legal field. So tell us about your brand new digs, your brand new office, how you've restructured it, and how clients can find you in your new digs.
Thanks, Doreed. And I like that word, entrepreneurpreneur. Okay, I need to add that. So I'm pleased to announce that Samuel Fields Consulting Group, we are now located in the Wood Center. We are next to where Scotiabank used to be, within the building, the office of Author Medical Associates. So once you drive into Wood Center, you will see the sign quite prominently displayed. And that's where you can find me. But with COVID, I'm also available via Zoom. So you can always contact me, either sending me an email, info@Samuel Fields Consulting, or on our website page, www.samuelfieldsconsulting, or you can call me, 464-0841. So that's where we are, and we are looking forward to serving you.
So Megan, is there a particular area of law that you focus on? Tell us about some of the services that you offer, especially, we're talking about lawyering in a new age. So tell us about some of the services that you're offering or you may be considering, having to work virtually, having to conduct business very differently. I would imagine now your clients there are no walk-ins with COVID. I would imagine now, I know when you're in your other location on Independence Avenue, people just walked in. I've been in your office and people, the lawyer here. So tell us about how life has changed for you in COVID, having to shift, the way you do business, as well as some of the solutions or services you may be considering as you have relaunched your practice.
Okay. So I'll start off by saying that my focus is mainly corporate law, as well as land and personal injury. And those are all linked to the other hats that I wear. So it becomes an easier fit. I can tell you up front, I am not a criminal lawyer. I was never interested in it. And so I don't do anything in that area. So I would send persons, when they inquire, I would send them to other lawyers. Regarding COVID and all the changes that we've all had to make during the last year and a half, Zoom has become my best friend. And so I do a lot of work via Zoom. I arrange meetings and the like via Zoom. But of course, there are some situations where you do need to have a face-to-face conversation. And so for my clients, depending on where they are, I would actually go and visit them. It makes it a little easier. Or again, depending on the situation, they would come in and see me. But as much as possible, because we're all trying to be safe, I do more and more of my legal work remotely. And so far, it actually has been working. It actually allows me to see how I can even do things differently. So, for instance, we have a client who is based in Europe. And so it just makes so much sense to just have a Zoom call with them and with other parties that are here. And we make the decisions are made. We plan another meeting, and everything happens remotely, and it works. It works.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, again, we're talking to two lawyerpreneurs, and our focus is lawyering in a new age. And our next guest, Mr. Rushane Cunningham, he is a native of Jamaica, and he is admitted to the bar in Antigua and Barbuda, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and Montserrat. And he is founder and managing partner at Cunningham Law Caribbean. He operates out of Antigua and Barbuda, where he maintains this regional practice. Rushane is analytical, he's experienced, and a dedicated advocate for his clients, and is recognized as a leader by his peers and the community. He has appeared before all levels of the court on a variety of matters, with an emphasis on banking and finance, corporate and commercial, as well as labor and employment. His experience spans a number of industries, including aviation, cannabis, energy, hotels, insurance, private equity, and technology. His corporate and commercial advisory practice is also quite diverse, and Rushane possesses significant experience in mergers and acquisitions. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Rushane Cunningham, a young man who is definitely spreading his wings and helping to redefine the lawyering landscape throughout the Caribbean. So, Rushane, tell us about your practice, what makes your offerings different, what makes your practice different, and tell us, it sounds like you live a very exciting life, jet setting throughout the Caribbean. And so, yeah, tell us more about what your practice and how your practice differs from perhaps the generation before you.
A tiring, exciting life, virtually jet setting
But
through
in
the
a
Caribbean.
good way, I'm sure. Within a good way, in a good way, I'm sure.
Yes. Thank you for the introduction. So I actually started my practice just about a year ago in the midst of the pandemic. And one of the things that I wanted to focus on, and this was always my dream, even going into law, was the idea that I didn't have to have a practice that was just limited to one jurisdiction. And I think with the impact of COVID and everything having already shifted online, it made the possibility of realizing that far more easier for me. So I have appeared in court in St. Lucia, in St. Kitts, in Montserrat, and all of this has been online. So I've not had there was no need now to jump on a plane to physically go into another jurisdiction just to be able to appear in court. So one of the real advantages, I think, with this new age of lawyering, this new age of practicing, is really just being able to target so many other markets within the Caribbean rather than just a single market or even just the market that you're physically based in. So I think for me, that has been certainly my target, and it has been good so far. This 1 year of starting my practice.
Oh my goodness, so amazing. I mean, can you imagine starting any business during COVID? Never mind a regional business in the legal field. I mean, you're a rock star. Certainly. I mean, it is what a time to start a business. And then when you think of the fact that Liat has limited flights, can you imagine trying to do what um, having the vision that you have at a time when options for travel throughout the Caribbean have been reduced significantly. So technology to the rescue, for
No,
sure.
you're
Yep,
absolutely correct. They say that rock stars are crazy, so I think
of course. Of course. The rock stars and the wannabe rock stars, we're all crazy.
But
I
that's a
mean,
good
why?
thing. That's a good
Yeah,
It
thing.
of
is a
course,
good
of
thing, I
course.
suppose, in this context. It is. I think the other idea too is why allow a good crisis to go to waste. Yes.
I love that. I love that.
That's a
I
good
think that's
one.
that that's the other idea, because it is a crisis, but even in the midst of this crisis, there have been opportunities, and I think the challenge generally has just been being able to identify what those opportunities are, and then ensuring that you can pivot. I mean, when we just started in the midst of this pandemic, that was such a popular word, pivot, and
Mhm.
everybody was trying
Yes.
to pivot, and everybody was trying to figure out how are we going to survive these lockdowns, how are we going to survive, the decrease in business, how are we going to even develop new business in this kind of atmosphere. But the truth is, there is so much opportunity in the technology and in everything being virtual. And I think that that is what the new age lawyering is really about.
Yep. And a friend of mine, not from Antigua, but when everyone would say pivot, he would say what we call in Antigua kafakun. It's not, it's more than pivot. I don't know what you guys call it in Jamaica, but he was like, pivot? You mean kafakun? And I mean, when you think about when COVID first started, of course, we thought it was something that would probably last 6 months, a year. Here we are, 18 months and moving forward, no end in sight in terms of any abatement of this virus and its variants. It simply means that we have to restructure our business. If COVID doesn't go away, we just have to adapt. And it sounds like you're certainly um, on the cutting edge of things, and you walked into a storm and you have no choice but to survive. But tell me a bit about, and both, I'll pose this question both to Megan and yourself. How how has COVID changed the way you manage clients and perhaps even go after new business? I can imagine it's, Megan already alluded to the fact that she has to, or Zoom has become her best friend. But aside from that initial meeting or the meeting part of it, what other aspects of your business have you had to modify as an attorney in response to COVID and the limitations placed on the way you did business in the past? I think, Megan, I can say, let me put that to you first. Roshane, your business is brand new. We'll talk to you about some of the ideas that you bring to the table as far as client management. But Megan, how have you had to shift your operations in terms of documentation, all the other aspects of the practice in response to COVID?
Okay, so well, like Rashane, even before COVID, one of the things we ensured we did was to have everything digitized. And so that continues. I know you spoke about customers, but before the customers or the clients, we had to ensure that internally, because we're not going to be able to meet as a team, we had to ensure that we had a robust IT system. We had good security in place because everything now is going to be virtual. And so we had to ensure that that worked and that was safe. What I found with clients since COVID, I guess maybe because there isn't that face to face they seem to need a bit more reassurance. So I find I have to be making a call, reassuring them that yes, things are happening, um, reassure them that yes, that the matter has gone to court or whatever the situation is. And so I find there is a bit more of, I would call it hand holding. And I think it's more of giving them the reassurance that not because you don't see me, it doesn't mean that things aren't happening. I don't know what your experience is, Rasheen, but I find that that has been my experience dealing with my clients.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Megan. When I started, the approach that I wanted to sort of develop for my practice was one of, so once a client comes in, the client feels that there's a dedicated support system in place that will facilitate constant communication, so that even if a client isn't able to reach me directly, and those instances are very far and few in between, then usually there's going to be somebody in my office who they can speak to and who will be able to give them the sort of feedback that they need, if it's immediate. Otherwise, what I've also done is everything has gone digital for me. My entire office is sort of digitized. So I don't have, I remember when I was certainly in law school, and when I used to work back in Jamaica as well, there would be the office. You get into the office any given day of any week, and there's piles and piles of files, of physical files.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that sort of clutter in my practice. And that was very deliberate. The falling over paper, the files on the floor, and no. So everything for me was uh, digitized from the very inception. And that is something that, of course, with COVID, we have continued with that. What I also find that even as part of digitizing records and documents, it also makes it a bit easier for us to share information with clients. So in addition to having probably phone or Zoom conversations, I am able to better share documents with the client, so that they have, it's their documents, they have access to those documents, and they can see and read the documents for themselves, and with my assistance understand what those documents are saying. So I think having that dedicated support system in place to facilitate communication, having things digitized so that they can easily be shared with clients, all those as part of client management, even during this time of COVID, has really facilitated the practice and making it a bit more efficient.
That sounds amazing. That's great. Now I want to thank you for that, Rasheen. I want to remind our viewers, listeners, that we will be taking questions. I encourage all of you to start posting your questions. They will be displayed on the screen, and we are happy to entertain as many questions as you have. So post your questions. We'll get to them at the end of our discussion. Rasheen, one of the highlights of this program is having our guests share with us a bright idea. As we often say, if I have an idea and you have an idea, great. We both each have an idea. But when we can bring those ideas together, that is when the magic really begins to happen. Those eureka moments can happen because we have we can perhaps broaden our ideas by bringing them together. We had a guest last week that said every idea, no idea is new under the sun. If you're hiding an idea, chances are someone already has had similar thoughts and has similar ideas. So we encourage people to bring your ideas to the fore and find people like yourself who share similar ideas, and they're willing to partner with you to take ideas from concept to reality. So, Shane, what bright idea do you bring to the incubator today that we can all learn from?
Yeah, I don't know that it is, and I like how you have uh, done that recap of last week, because I don't know that it is such a grand idea. Uh, it's certainly not that novel, but I think it is so relevant now, and it's something that I have been using. So when you look at how the pandemic has been affecting the legal sector, all of us have felt a pinch of it. Some more significant than others, but we have all felt it. And one of the things that I have been doing as I try to, build out this regional practice is finding opportunities to collaborate with colleagues in other jurisdictions. Right. And so there are a number of matters right now where I am working on with colleagues in other parts of the Caribbean. So, for instance, I have a matter over in St. Lucia, and I'm actually working on that matter with a colleague from St. Kitts. And the idea is my colleague in St. Kitts has particular background in insolvency, and this particular matter is in that area. But that colleague is also admitted to the bar in St. Lucia. And so together we are working on this one matter. Then I have matters in Montserrat where I'm working on with another colleague who says, well, you have particular experience and background in this area. So let us work together on this matter. And I have been finding that being able to identify and build those kind of synergies with colleagues in the different territories, it is creating new business, not just for me, but for my colleagues as well. And it is also providing you an opportunity of feeling that you're working in a bigger team. Yes. And so you bring a collective effort to finding a resolution to a client matter. And I think that whole idea of being collaborative, of being able to work with colleagues. I mean, we're law is such a field where we're always seemingly against each other. We're always seemingly in the arena battling. But not very often do you find that we stop and try to work together with another colleague. And I've been finding that I've been doing that a lot during this pandemic with a number of my matters in a number of the jurisdictions. And I think that's just something that we could all consider the wider fraternity. How do we identify synergies with colleagues, collaboration? How do we even, I mean, you are separate entities, yes, but how can you put your efforts together and possibly market for a particular project, a particular new client, some particular new business? Together, you and your colleague can both make some money, but at the same time, be impactful in terms of your legal knowledge and sharing and finding resolution for a client.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Again, no, I mean, and that's basic. I
Very,
shouldn't
very
say
basic.
basic, but I shouldn't say basic. That's universal advice for anyone who is building a business, who's building a team, who wants to grow professionally. That is universal advice. It may not be a new concept, but sometimes we need to be reminded. I'm just curious, Megan, based on Rushane's big advice, or big idea, sorry, how can do you see possibilities of your firm working with Roshane, or perhaps your firm adopting a similar approach in broadening your capabilities, in building capacity? What is your response to his big idea?
I love it. I think it's an excellent idea. And as I listened to Shane, I thought to myself, he's speaking about his affiliations outside of Antigua, but wouldn't it be great if we could do more of that right here? And I'm very much open to that. Um, no man is an island, and there really is strength in numbers. Law is so wide, it's hard to find any one attorney who is super skilled and have all the experience in all of the fields. But You may have persons who have a particular expertise, and they could probably team up with another person who has maybe a different expertise, but it's needed for a particular case. And so I welcome that. I encourage not only Rashane, but all the other attorneys. Let's see how we can work together. Rashane is right. Because of the nature of our business, it's more, we're more seen as competitors because, it's one client against another. But there's so many opportunities, I think, for us to get together and see how we can work together to for the benefit of our clients, but it will be a win-win situation for us both. It could even be situations where you may not be as strong as the other party, but by joining with them, you actually gain some necessary experience that can help you down the road. So I think it's a great idea, and especially during COVID, I like it, and I'm all open. Roshane, you and I are going to work together.
Definitely.
Fantastic, fantastic. And to our listeners, again, I see a couple of questions coming in, and a couple of comments, and we appreciate it. We're going to go through a couple of these comments. I just encourage everyone first to like our page if you have not done so. Share our page as well if you have not already done so. And of course, pose your questions because we're here to respond and to give you that support that you need on this beautiful Friday morning as we go into the weekend, energized with great ideas and with a sense of purpose. So, like our page, share our page, post your questions. I see we have a few questions. Let me see if I can get some questions up. I know that our technicians are posing questions and comments. Let's see what we have. We have congratulations from, let's see, from Nicole Martin, who says, hang on, let me pull this up. Congratulations, Megan Samuel Fields. In keeping with the contest, I've written down my financial goals for the fourth quarter of 2021 and 2022 reignited. So, Nicole, thank you for that comment. If
Thanks,
you
Nicole.
have not, say that again.
I was just telling Nicole, thank you.
Yes, Nicole, thank you for writing down your the things you want to change, your goals. We're certainly here to help, and we encourage everyone else to do the same for an opportunity to win a free consultation from Samuel Fields Consulting. Nicole, until you wrote it down, it did not hit me that we are indeed in the fourth quarter of 2021. Where did the year go? We need to really step it up and get ready to usher in 2022. So keep the comments and the questions coming. We have a few more minutes. We're certainly here ready to answer your questions. Roshane, a question that I have. What are some of the perhaps non-traditional areas that you see in the new lawyering age where practices such as yours with great ideas, what are some of the non-traditional areas or services that you see on the horizon? You may not be there yet, but I think for a lot of us, you go to a lawyer for certain services. With all of these new tools available, including technology, client management solutions, not having to physically go to court, not having to file all these documents. I know lawyer friends that I have, that's usually the problem, the filing, the paperwork, keeping up with the dates. And especially if you're a lawyer in the United States, I can imagine all the different filing dates and procedures. It may be a little more complicated. Do you see any new services or offerings on the horizon that can get people excited about the lawyering field. But before you answer, I want to acknowledge a comment from, let's see, is it, gee, I'm having a hard time. Mandy Thomas is saying good morning. Great series for conversation, SFCG. Thank you so much, Mandy. Be sure to like our page and to share it. Thanks so much for your comment. So, Rashane, what's new in the lawyering field? What are some of the new services we can look forward to? I don't need a lawyer in the traditional sense, but how can you offer me something outside the traditional scope of the lawyering field?
I don't know, that one is a bit difficult. But what I can share is recently, and this is a conversation I've been having with clients and colleagues. And I
Mhm.
know in the legal tech space, there is a lot of new technology and software that is being developed, for example, to treat with contract reviews, right? And so recently, a client who is a contractor from overseas was lamenting about the state of contract templates that he has seen in Antigua when it comes on to building contracts. And one of the ideas that came out of those conversations was to be able to have clients walk into a lawyer's office and take up a ready-made
Mhm.
building contract. Uh, and it's not a particularly new idea either, because just like with the preparation of a last will and testament, in some jurisdictions, you can now, for example, you go to the pharmacy and you can purchase a standard last will and testament form, and all you
Mhm.
would have to do is to fill in your own particulars: name, date, the assets that you want to share, the beneficiaries who need to receive upon your death. And so for some time now, in other places outside of Antigua, the attempt is to try and standardize a certain material. And so I think that is one thing, a relatively fairly new idea for Antigua, that perhaps more attorneys could look at. How do you prepare ready-made contracts, templates? I know another client suggested, what if you have, I want to incorporate a company, I don't want to wait the 2 weeks for the process to finish. Is it possible I could just walk into a lawyer's office and there's already an incorporated company, and I can just take it off the shelf? And all
That's
you'd have to do is to
interesting.
just change the name of the company
That's
to the name that
interesting.
I want. People are coming up with some very creative ideas in
Mm-hmm.
terms of how more ready-made can I make this for me? I don't want to have to go through the very long process of waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And there are sometimes some legal considerations with having those sort of ready-made ideas set up. But I think it's important to have the idea, discuss the idea, and see about the pros and cons. Yes, because unless you discuss it and unless you try to break it down to look at whether or not it would work, what would be the limitations? If these are the limitations, what can be the solutions? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And unless you have that thought process going on, we are never going to be creating new ideas to make even the legal sector more efficient and more in keeping with the developments.
Fantastic. We have a question from Lorenzia Lloyd. And the question is, what advice would you give to upcoming attorneys who do not necessarily think that the traditional route is for them? Megan, I'll let you answer this with all of the hats that you wear on top of your legal hat. Tell us, for a lawyer, an attorney who does not necessarily think that the traditional route is for them, what advice do you have for lawyers like that?
Okay, so I would say to Lorenzia, I too do not think that the traditional route is for me. And so I didn't take the traditional route. What I would say to you, though, is um, And this is not just for an attorney, but I think a lot of times we get, I would say, stuck in a box. We go and study a particular thing, and we figure that whatever obtains in that particular field, we have no other choice but to continue. What I would say is just take a moment, think about what are the things that you like? What are the things that bring you joy? And then see whether there is any form of overlap between what you studied as an attorney and what you enjoy. Something that came to mind as I was listening to Rashane is we, as lawyers, we do a lot of contract work. And when you think about contract work and you think about it outside of a lawyer's office, you then realize that most companies, if they are hiring staff, they must have employee contracts. Could it be perhaps that you may want to, instead of being following the traditional route and having your own business, could you work as an in-house counsel? Could you work within HR for a company, or could you even offer outsourcing services to companies to help to prepare their employee contracts and the like? He also mentioned building contracts. That could be another area. But I think a lot of it has to do with what is it that you like, and see how you can find the nice connection between what you like, what you have passion for, and what you've studied as an attorney.
Fantastic. The questions are coming in. I can tell you we have two more questions in queue, and we have time for a few more. So if you have additional questions, continue to post them. There's a question from Nicole Martin, and Nicole wants to know, I'll pose this to Rashane, Mr. Lawyerpreneur in so many different islands. Please share with us how you are able to create and maintain balance in your professional and personal lives as lawyerpreneurs. Time management, networking, exercise, professional development, family, etc. Let me read that question again because there are quite a few elements to it. Please share with us how you are able to create and maintain balance in your professional and personal lives as lawyerpreneurs. Time management, networking, exercise, professional development, family, etc.
Yes, that's one of those questions you get when people realize how many things you actually try to do with your life. It's not easy, but I think as with anything else in life, it has to be a deliberate undertaking on your part. You make the time to do what it is that you want to do. Yes. So for example, this morning I was up very early. I did a 5K walk before coming into the office.
5K. Oh
Yes,
my goodness.
nice 5K walk. I mean, it was tiring, but but it's Friday. And so I decided that to sort of end my work week and to start the weekend, I needed to have this exercise time in.
Did you
And so
talk to yourself along the way? Because I do
of
that all the
course,
time.
of course. Talk to myself, listen to music, just try to get into a zone. And it's so calming. Yes, it's so relaxing as well. So it's really important because unless you strike that balance of having sufficient downtime, then the creativity doesn't flow, the creative juices don't flow, the new ideas don't come. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important. I think what is also helpful is to have a good support system in place, right? And that support system could either be your family, your friends, a close network of people who will hold you accountable but also hold you up. Yes. People who will see you in your darkest, lowest of moments and be there just to stand by you and to give you the kind of encouragement that you need to continue going. So having that good support system and being deliberate about making time for exercise, making time to have downtime. And the people who are closest to me know I don't do these things very well. Downtime, we don't. Downtime and I don't have a very good relationship. But I've been trying to do better at that. And the support system is there, to help and keep me accountable on that. So this is a good question, Nicole. Thank you for that.
Okay, and we'll move on to the next question. It's from Mandy Thomas. And Mandy wants to know, Megan, I'll pose this to you. The flexibility that technology now affords to attend court, file documents, etc., has made the practice of law more convenient. What steps would you suggest that a traditional law firm take to transition to a more flexible way to practice? Let me repeat. The flexibility that technology now affords to attend court, file documents, etc., has made the practice of law more convenient. What practice would you suggest that a traditional law firm take to transition to a more flexible way to practice?
Okay, Mandy, I think the answer is right within the question that you posed. It's all about technology and embracing technology. Of course, if it's a traditional firm, it's probably easier said than done because within tradition are some long-standing beliefs and long-standing practices. But the beauty about COVID, and I'm going to quote what Roshane said earlier, why allow a good crisis to go to waste,
Love it.
is that we've all had to use more technology, whether it's now ensuring that you file your cases online, whether it's attending court via Zoom, having meetings via Zoom, whatever it is, we've all had to spend more time on using technology. And that's the way to go. So the actual how will depend on the owners and managers and persons within the firm, but technology is where it has to be in order to allow for flexibility, in order to allow for speed, in order to allow for you to be ahead of the curve, because everybody is going technology. So you really can't be left behind. So in one word, technology, find ways to use it, find ways to make your life easier.
It looks like we definitely have lots of attorneys in our audience today, and we want to recognize all of our attorneys. If you're an attorney, just drop me in our chat today. We just want to recognize all of our attorneys. I know that we sent an invitation to the what do you call it, Megan? The
Bar Association.
The Bar Association. How could I forget? So we just want to say a special welcome and a shout out to all of the members of our local Bar Association to thank you for joining us. Do we have any additional questions from the folks in the back? I believe we have one forthcoming, but we will just give our guests an opportunity to begin their final summation. And we see Mandy waving her hand. Any other attorneys? We want to give a special shout out to our attorneys today and welcome you for joining us. Of course, everyone else is welcome. We do have a question from Lisa. Lisa, let's see. Ready-made, hang on, let's see if I can read this. The print is so tiny when you get to be my age, and I don't have my reading glasses on, but hang on. It is saying, ready-made is really the logical direction for a world that practices and trades in the instantaneous. I had someone suggest similar ideas. I guess Lisa is talking about the way we're able to perhaps generate standardized documents and to have some of the resources that clients demand. And it makes sense. If clients want forms, and they have very finite and specific needs, especially if, on a continuous basis. Why not think about how you can, create some kind of toolkit that people can begin to do some of the work themselves. We live in a DIY, do it yourself world for almost everything. So I think that, the whole ready made, standardized form, standard generated types of documents, the more of that people can get at their fingertips, it makes for a better client relationship. It's more efficient, and I think that's something that applies across any industry. People really, really want to be able to have access to standardized documents so that they can play a greater role in the client service chain. So it looks like we have answered all of our questions, and we have gone a bit over time, but this has been time well spent. I'm sure you all will agree. And so I want to give our guests an opportunity to share with us your final thoughts and tell us how we can access your services, and tell us why lawyering is so special today, and why everyone needs to rethink their relationship or their concept of what the legal field and lawyering is all about. Rashane, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so thank you so much. One of the things that I will say that is not so traditional about how I look at the practice of law now is, in addition to seeing it as what it is for the practicing of law, it's also for me a business. And all the ideas that float around building a successful business are relevant to this practice and building a successful law firm, right? And so you think as well, when it comes on to a legal practice, how do you create new business? How do you generate new clients? And a lot of times, like any good business, you will find that clients will always keep coming back if they're satisfied with the service that they receive. Yes. And so, even for the practice of law, customer service is also a very big thing. And many times people seem to ignore that very important ingredient, which is a part of the entire business. Because the truth is, I don't like to go to any business place where I don't feel like they're inviting me to spend my money, where the service is such that I want to return. I want to see them grow. I want to see them successful because I value the service that they're giving to me. Yes. And the same is true with any legal practice. It's a lot of focus on the customer service. How are clients made to feel, and how it is that they feel about the service that they get. So for me, the customer service is very big, and we have to treat our practices like the businesses that they are. Somebody mentioned that we're going into Q4. At a time like this now, the idea is, what are going to be my plans for Q4? How can I sit down, get back to the drawing board, look at our financials, see how successful we have been so far? How do we look at our customers and identify which industry are our customers coming from? How do we shift the targets to perhaps increase customers from a different industry, or see which industry is doing well and perhaps identify, why is this industry doing well? Why are we getting so many clients from this area? So there's so much that really goes into it. And I mean, Megan can appreciate this full on because she wear all these caps. But there is really so much more to the practice of law. The business side of the law is what they don't teach you in law school. And so you have to get into the practice and then try and learn that yourself. And one of the easiest way to really start understanding that is to understand just the fundamentals of business. Yes, basic principles of business, and trying to apply that to your practice. So that is certainly something that I am doing. And I have been hearing other colleagues in Trinidad, in other places in Jamaica, and everybody's really trying to focus on how do we now build the business? How do we move away from the traditional idea of practicing law to build a good book of business and to increase our clientele, our revenue, etc. So there's really so much more to it. But it's an exciting journey, and I intend to just keep at it. My services are all detailed online at our website, cunninghamlc.com. That's CUNNINGHAML for law, C for Caribbean.com. So anybody who is interested in finding more about our services can visit our website. You'll see all the details. We're located at Mandolin Place on Fries Hill Road. And if you want to pick up the phone and call us for a consultation, you can get us at 778-8139 or 462-8139.
Fantastic. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Roshane. I've certainly learned a lot more about lawyering in a new age. And we thank you so much for your insights. This is certainly information that can be applied across any industry. And I'm sure there are many within our audience who will look at the whole legal field a bit differently. And the flexibility that you've been able to gain in spreading your wings across several Caribbean islands is certainly admirable. We wish you every success, and thank you for being a part of this discussion today. Megan, who do we have next week?
So next week should be very exciting. We will be having the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Martin Cave. He will be our guest next week, and he will have his idea that he will share with us.
Okay, the Chamber of Commerce. So he'll probably be talking across industries, because I know that they have their membership comprises businesses across virtually every industry here in Antigua and Barbuda.
Yes, absolutely.
So that should be very exciting. We certainly will have lots of questions for him during this economic time to get some insights into how businesses across the board throughout Antigua and Barbuda are doing. So we certainly look forward to next week's guest. To all of our guests, to our listeners, our viewers, whether you're listening to this live or you're gonna finish listening to this later, we encourage you first, like our page, share it with your friends and family. We're here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is an incubator where we share ideas. And as we often end our show by saying, if I have an idea, if you have an idea, that's great. We both each have an idea. But it's when we can bring these ideas together that the magic happens and the eureka moments happen, because we can broaden these ideas. And the more great minds we have, it simply means there are going to be a lot more great ideas. We want to thank you for being our guest today, Roshane. I want to say a special thank you to our technical staff. We have Aaliyah Jenkins and we have Nicholas Fields at the control. We want to thank you for another great show. And we look forward to join or connecting with you next Friday when we have another guest, and we will be discussing great ideas for our business and our personal lives. Don't forget to enter the contest as part of Self-Improvement Month that we're celebrating throughout the month of September. A great opportunity for you to win a free consultation from Samuel Fields Consulting, which will go a long way in helping to restructure your personal life or your business. So it's been another great show. We want to thank all of you for joining us. And from us here at SFCG, we wish you a great weekend and a great week. And we'll see you again next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.